Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Math Major. I used to work in a shoe store that would do buy one get one half off sales occasionally. Now, the store's POS would automatically discount the second, fourth, sixth most expensive items, unlike others where the cheaper half of the items would be the discounted items. And if you wanted to optimize your savings, you would have to split your items into several purchases. We also had coupons that you could use on top of the sale. I had a lady who was trying to split all her items up into closely price-matched pairs to get the best deal, and asked to use her coupon on the most expensive pair of items. My poor part-time associate got confused and looked at me for help. I realized what the customer was trying to do, and explained that the computer already gave you the best deal based on the prices of the items you purchase. And if she put them all together, she could use the coupon on everything instead of just 2 items. This lady looks at me with the most condescending look I have ever seen, points at herself, and says, Math Major. So I smiled and instructed my part-timer to just split them up as she asked and only use the coupon on one purchase. I hope to this day that she eventually figured out what I was explaining to her. The next story is called Bank Incompetence. Many years ago, I owned an apartment when real estate crashed. This was in the early 90s in New York City. I couldn't sell it, and I was renting it out for less than a mortgage payment. When I tried to talk to the bank, they said, "You've never missed a payment. Why should we talk to you?" So I missed a payment. I sent the rent I got to the bank, but they insisted on either full payment or nothing. So I sent nothing. At one point, the bank told me the reason I couldn't sell it was that I wasn't asking for enough money for it. Both I and my attorneys were shocked by this. When this first started, I offered them a check for the difference between the appraised value and what I owned, just to get it off my hands. They said no. Finally, a year later, I sold it for much less than I owed. The bank accepted a check in the amount I originally offered, but because of their incompetence never collected the year's worth of missed payments. When they tried to report to the credit bureau that they had foreclosed, I disputed it, since they never actually foreclosed. The third story is called Hateful Coworker. I started a new job a couple of months ago. One of my new colleagues, henceforth known as Hater because that's what she is, has been trying to subtly undermine me from the beginning. At first it took the form of forgetting to add me to department meetings, making digs about the new girl who's still in learning mode and other petty stuff that I could ignore. This week she took it to a new level, which forced me to activate a few of the malicious compliance tricks I learned during my dysfunctional childhood. Our group works 100% remotely. Most of our meetings are on camera and include presenting and screen sharing. She scheduled an hour-long one-on-one meeting with me to go over a minor portion of a huge project the whole team is working on. She told me to fill out her portion of the paperwork for the said project, while she gave me excruciatingly detailed directions. I readily agreed. Told her I was going to record the audio and screen sharing so that I could refer back to her tutelage in the future, and then hit the record button. She had to be decently professional during the recording, of course. I asked her questions about who determines the team workflow, i.e. not her, what was important about each of the details that she was talking about, etc. She said, "We'll have to circle back on that about a dozen times." After she was done telling me how to do her job, I uploaded our one-on-one to the team chat. I tagged everyone in the group and let them know that Hater had provided me with some great training that could be relevant for all of us. The recording stats showed 28 views so far, from a team of 8 people and numerous LOL emojis. During our weekly team meeting today, Hater began giggling audibly while I was presenting. I ignored her until she said, "She has such a cute little lisp." I replied, "Yes, I currently have a speech impediment due to orthodontics. It's unfortunate that you are having an issue with it. Would you prefer for me not to speak?" Long silence after that. Then about a minute of painful mumbled backtracking from our chest and Hater. After my presentation was done, our boss said, "Hater, please remain on mute unless you have the floor. Also, don't schedule any further training meetings with your peers unless I instruct you to do so." I hope Hater gets in hot water. And now I have public records and witnesses if she decides to pull any other stuff like that in the future. The next story is called Price Difference. Around 5 years ago, I was in a big box store, whose one-word name began with a C. The old GPS in my car had an older map loaded on it, and it would have cost me $100 to download a new map. I looked around the electronics section and found a similar new GPS to my old one, but it came with a lifetime map and traffic support. So I picked it up and purchased it for $1.99. I thought it was an okay price, and it wasn't on sale. Around 40 days later, I was back in the store and noticed that the GPS I had purchased was now on sale for $1.49, a $50 savings. I looked in my wallet and walked over to customer service and asked them to issue a refund between the price I had paid and the sale price. The associate looked at my receipt and said, "I'm sorry, but since it's over 30 days since you purchased this item, I can't refund you the difference." I thought about it for a second and said, "The store has a 90-day money-back guarantee for electronics, correct?" "Yes, we do," replied the associate. "Great," I replied and left the counter. I went back into the store and took another GPS, identical to my original purchase, and paid the sale price for it. I left the store and went to my car. I took the $1.99 GPS and exchanged it in the box for the new one, and returned with the $1.99 GPS in the new box. I took out my 40-day-old receipt and told customer service that I wanted to return it. They gladly returned it, and I got my $50 back. The original associate watched me the entire time, and I waved and smiled at him on the way out of the store. The fifth story is called Leave It at the Door. I work at a hotel, and we tried not to leave things in the halls outside rooms when guests request them. Mainly things like towels and coffee, as other guests tend to take them when they see them in the halls. Today we had a guest whose booking mentioned they are hard to deal with. They asked for a few things and were told they wouldn't be left outside the door. After 3 times of trying to deliver the coffee pots, we, my supervisor and I, decided that they needed to come and get them from us at the desk. They were not happy with this answer, and I was told, just leave it outside the door. After being cursed at, I said fine and I took the coffee pots. No bag. I set them on the floor in the hall directly across from the door. I didn't knock or anything, just left it and walked away. 30 minutes later, and I get another call that they had not gotten the coffee. I state to them, "It was left outside your room as you requested, but as I stated before, other guests tend to take them. Unfortunately, I'm all out for the evening, but more will be brought to the desk in the morning if you want to come down and grab a few extra. Have a good evening, and let us know if you need anything else." And then I hung up. My supervisor was laughing way too much, and so was I. Listen when the people tell you what others take, and that you need to answer because there's usually a reason. The last story is called Hospital Bill. For context, we live in the US. We recently got a $4,000 hospital bill for an overnight stay with a minor surgery for our son. This was after our insurance paid $1,600. We got our secondary insurance to pay an additional $1,500, but had $2,500 left out of pocket. What now? Well, the hospital has a financial assistance program, and we qualify. Hooray, right? Not right. They find out we have an FSA, basically a credit card that can only be used for medical expenses. They want to wipe out the FSA before they will look at our income. The FSA really should count as part of our annual income, but alas. My husband is pretty resigned to this and ready to fork over our whole FSA, but I'm pretty salty about it. We have a decent amount left on the FSA, but this is for all our appointments for the year. We only have weeks to pay this bill or have it sent to collections, so not enough time to schedule a bunch of necessary appointments. I'm determined not to let the entirety of this thing go to the hospital, because I know if they looked at our income, the rest of the bill would probably be dropped or significantly reduced. What to do? I bought every FSA eligible item I could think of on Amazon that we may need over the next 6 months. Took about half of the FSA out in a week, just in time for our final notice. We pay with what we have left of the FSA, and then they finally run our numbers. Cue the call that the rest of the bill is indeed dropped, because we qualified for the reduction. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.